So I own three cars. I own a Mustang GT 2023, and I own a 2024 Lexus RX 500h, and I own a 2020 Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus. Can you guess which one I don't like? So the reason I want to go ahead and address that vehicle is because it just now hit 90,000 miles. I've owned the vehicle now for a little over 3 years. And I feel like it's important to talk about the ownership of the vehicle, things I like about it, things I don't like about it. So that's what we're going to do in this video.
La la la, yeah. Senior year was kind of a struggle. Hung out with this girl and she gave me her number. I mean, she was cool if you're into drama. Thank God dodged the bullet. She get her notes from her mama. You see, I'm not the type to judge by appearance, but based on her actions, hooking up was apparently wrong. She had a man, but he wasn't active. A fatal attraction put me in places I didn't belong. I took the chance, cause I wasn't hurting. Bought watches and purses, but that shit wasn't working. Got so stuck on this person that I forgot she was taken. Only took a few months to meet the new guy she was dating, it seems. Sometimes you shouldn't risk it. Don't move too fast.
So I have a Tesla Model 3. It's a Standard Range Plus. It's a 2020 model. I've had this car now for about 3 years. I got the car in 2022 used. And the purpose for this car was so that I could try Turo, which is a whole nother story. Should have taken a different path with that one, but I didn't. Lessons learned. But I've owned the car now for 3 years, and when I got the car, it had 17,000 miles on it. As of right now, 3 years later, it has 90,000 miles on it. So as you can see, it's been driven quite a bit, and the reason for this is because of Turo. A lot of the miles were from Turo, but throughout its Turo journey, I've experienced a lot of things with this car that I think are important for anyone who's looking to own a Tesla. And let's start with the very first thing, reliability. So if you rent cars out on Turo, then you know how people will abuse the vehicles on Turo. This car has held up very well. Like, obviously there's chips, there's dings, that sort of thing, but nothing too crazy. I think the paint quality when it comes to just cars in general nowadays just suck. So, I mean, obviously there's a lot more chips than I'm used to with older vehicles that I've had. With the 2020 models, the steering wheel was, I believe, a different material. So if it got hot enough in the car, the leather would warp and wrinkle up really bad. But luckily, the vehicle was still under warranty when this happened, so they replaced it for me for free. The new steering wheel actually holds up a lot better. I think they added in the metal little button things that are on the steering wheel, which are a lot better quality than the plastic ones also. Another thing I had happen with this car was with the actual AC sensor, so therefore it couldn't do the automatic climate to do the defrost, that sort of thing. There was a sensor that went out in the mirror, which luckily that was covered under warranty, so I didn't have to come out of pocket for that. As far as other warranty items, there was an issue with the passenger seat. So I don't know what happened with it, but pretty much the car was stating that it couldn't read that there was a passenger sitting in the passenger seat. So therefore, the airbag module would always show that it was not working properly or something, and there was some big error. So they had to end up replacing some part in the passenger seat, which that was covered under warranty, so that's cool. They did some type of recall for the trunk. I believe a lot of Model 3s had that, so that was taken care of, which is great. As far as maintenance things, I think one of the benefits to owning a Tesla is that you don't have as much maintenance, meaning there are no oil changes and that sort of thing. The only thing I've had to do with this car is replace tires. The original set of tires that were on this vehicle lasted from 17,000 miles to right around 35,000 miles, and then I had to replace them. They were the typical Michelin tires that come on the vehicle standard. What I did, considering I was renting this car out on Turo, I did not see the necessity to put some crazy expensive tires back on there. Those tires were running close to 300 a tire. And again, the car was on Turo, so I didn't see the need to put those tires back on there. So I put a less expensive tire on there, which were road huggers. And they weren't, I guess, the bottom of the barrel tires, because they actually did last pretty well. So from 35,000 miles all the way to 86,000 miles, those tires did perfectly. And like I said, a lot of that was Turo related. So those tires held up really well. I actually just replaced the tires again with another set of road huggers. So I'm guessing I'll get a really good long lifespan out of those tires. With those tires, the difference that I noticed was not necessarily a range difference. I know a lot of people state that you want to get tires with less drag coefficient in order to maintain your range, but I think I noticed literally like a 1% decrease in the range of the vehicle and nothing drastic at all. So I think the tire thing, although it probably could help in some scenarios, I didn't experience that where it was a necessity to have a certain type of tire. Other maintenance that was necessary with this car, besides windshield wiper fluid, that sort of thing. I have done one alignment on the vehicle since. So far, it hasn't really had any issues. Working with Tesla's service center sucks, so I try to avoid using them as much as possible. So luckily, I haven't had to call them out for anything. But far as the things that I like about this car, I like this car if you're wanting to use it for around the town things. Like, for example, my wife uses this car to go back and forth to work. It's like a 30-minute drive one way. So round trip, she probably drives about 60-ish minutes. We live in the Birmingham area, so you know that can easily turn into 90 minutes plus real fast. So with that commute, I'll charge it to 80%, which we have the level 2 charger in our house. Charge it to 80%, and I she can go there and back, and she'll be back right at about 50% of range. So it's not something that is horrible. And obviously, we can do a lot more with that, driving around the city, that sort of thing. So it's not bad. We have an EV credit with our electrical company, so therefore that helps us out a lot. It generally costs us between $1 to $2 a day if we're charging from about 50% all the way up to 80. And I think that's very good in comparison to what you would pay in gas cars. So that's a benefit if you are using the vehicle to commute around town, no super long distance type driving, and you can charge at home. You are definitely going to save money when it comes to maintenance, when it comes to fuel, that sort of thing. So that's a benefit. If you have to use charging stations, this is when it's going to be a problem for you, because when I had this vehicle put on Turo, I had to go back and forth to the airport, which is about 40 miles from where we are. And the issue with that is I had to do a lot of supercharging before trips. Sometimes I could charge in the airport, which that would help, but sometimes that wasn't always the best option. So I had to use supercharging. Supercharging is expensive. It is a lot more expensive than putting gas in these vehicles. So that's one of the downsides. One of the downsides is if you have to use a supercharger, it's super expensive. So it's better to try to avoid using superchargers. Another benefit that I can see when it comes to this vehicle is another around the town type thing. If you're looking for a car that's quick, even though this is not the performance model or the long range model, anything like that, the instant torque really helps you when it comes to navigating traffic. And I think that's a huge win, especially being in the city area. That can be a huge benefit for you. So I think that's another perk. Those are literally the only three good things that I can say about this car, to be completely honest with you. Far as negatives with this vehicle, one is the range, of course. I think electric cars are just not at a place where taking them long distance makes sense. And the reason I say that is no matter which electric vehicle you have, even if you have a long range, charging seems to be more expensive when it comes to using superchargers and that sort of thing. And the range, in my opinion, does not equal out the same way it does in a gas vehicle. And I'll tell you why I feel that way. When it comes to actual range, in this vehicle, a lot of things can impact it. Tesla has this thing where it shows you what your vehicle is using, as far as consumption goes, on various components, whether it's driving, and if it is driving, it shows you why it may have decreased. And one of the biggest things is generally rain. If it rains really bad, you're going to lose range. Two, if you're going over 70-ish miles an hour, which most of us are doing, you're going to lose range. If you're going up and down hills, you're going to lose range. And I know a lot of people will argue that the same is true when it comes to ICE vehicles, that you lose range in a lot of those scenarios, and I don't disagree. But what I will say is it seems to me that there is a more significant range drain on electric vehicles than it is ICE vehicles. And I'll give you an example. Once when I had this vehicle, it was in the earlier stages. I had the good Michelin tires on there that came with the vehicle that were perfect for EVs. I was driving from Athens, Alabama to Birmingham, Alabama. It's about 110 miles where we are. And I maxed it out. I charged in Athens all the way up to the full 224 miles of range, right? I had to charge this vehicle again, I want to say 90 miles, 90 actual miles into the trip, because I wasn't going to make it the rest of the way. I wasn't going to make it the additional 20 miles that I needed to make because it was raining. And the thing that was crazy is when you look at the screen and it shows you why or what's being drained, it stated that due to the drag from the rain, it decreased range by a good 30-ish%, which is absolutely crazy. I am very confident in the ice vehicles that I've driven in, particularly driving in heavy rain conditions. I have never had that significant of a range decrease because it was raining. So that's one of the negatives when it comes to this car. And again, I'm pretty sure there are other scenarios out there that can probably prove this theory wrong, and maybe it was unique to my situation or maybe some other factors. But I know for a fact that the range could be a lot better in these vehicles, and especially when it comes to electrical range, I really feel like it does not equal a 1-to-1 when it comes to ICE vehicle range. And that's just my opinion when it comes to that. Another downside to this vehicle, obviously, is the current political factors. I know a lot of Teslas are actually being targeted right now by people due to political reasons. So that's horrible. I know some people who are getting their insurances canceled when it comes to owning these vehicles, and that's crazy. And another thing that I don't like about this vehicle is the price. And the price is my fault, though. So I can't blame the vehicle for it. I bought this vehicle at the height of the market because I wanted to do Turo and because I was impatient. And therefore, what I owe on this vehicle is nowhere near what the vehicle is actually worth. And that's due to all of the decreases in value that Tesla put on their newer models. So that created a problem for me. I've never been in a situation with a vehicle where it's been this heavily depreciated in such a short amount of time. And again, that's my fault. I take responsibility for it. I don't put that on the vehicle, but I do put that slightly on the manufacturer because I know with every vehicle that I've owned, I've never had a situation where the car's value dropped $20,000 to $30,000 overnight. That's kind of ridiculous in my opinion, but again, you know, you live and learn, that sort of thing. But all in all, I don't think that this is a bad car. This is not a bad car. I think that if you have another vehicle and can get you from point A to point B on most of your commutes, and you have this vehicle for just around the town type thing, this is a perfect car for that. The charging at home, it makes it great. The minimal maintenance makes it great. For the most part, I can tell this car is very safe. It feels very well planted. There are a ton of quality issues with this vehicle that I won't get into because in my opinion, although I think Tesla tries to sell this vehicle off as being some upper tier luxury thing, it's not by any means necessary. I have a Lexus 500h, and that's luxury. I feel like my Mustang's quality is better than this car in my opinion, and that's a Ford. But I digress. The thing about this car is it's not all horrible if you need a good around the town commuter. I think right now, particularly, is a great time if you wanted to buy one used because it can be a benefit when it comes to saving money. One of the things that I can say is that 90,000 miles, I have not noticed any issues with the car. As far as the mechanical aspects of this vehicle, it works perfect. It does exactly what it needs to do. The battery's still maintaining a long portion of its range, although during the Turo time of renting this car out, it was supercharged heavily by guests. Now that I've had it off Turo, I've had the vehicle off Turo for about 15 to 20,000 miles now, and I've been strictly charging at home, and it's done really well. Like, it does really well. The battery, I have not noticed a huge degradation at 90,000 miles. I think it's holding up well there. I can say that the rock chips and that sort of thing continue to stack up. Again, I don't blame Tesla for that. I think just right now in our day and age, vehicles paint quality just absolutely sucks, because I had a Camaro that was a 2015, and that car, when I got rid of it, it had 90,000 miles on it when I got rid of it. It had zero paint chips. So, and I drove the heck out of that car. So I definitely can say that the paint quality has changed in vehicles in general, so I don't put that on Tesla. So again, I think overall, as far as the mechanics go of this vehicle at 90,000 miles, it is still holding up strong. Is it something that I personally want to keep? I think it's good to have this vehicle, again, if you can get it at a low price. I would not spend a penny on a brand new Tesla. Get you a used Tesla and just continue to work with it from there. So far as my goals when it comes to this vehicle at this point, I don't think I would want to get rid of it. As I stated, there's a lot of issues with paint quality, that sort of thing. And one of the things that I really want to do is I want to do a project car. And I think what better car to do that with than the Tesla? Again, low maintenance, that sort of thing, all that factors in. Things that I feel like the car needs, it needs a deep clean. What I would want to do with that is remove all the seats, do a deep carpet clean on the vehicle. I think that would help and make it smell a lot more new, because again, it went on Turo rental, so obviously there's some flaws there or some issues there. Um, One of the other things that I want to do with the vehicle at some point is it has a lot of cosmetic defects. So at some point, I think I'd want to have those patched up as best as possible and just end up wrapping the vehicle. I think that'd be a really cool thing to do, because I always find it really interesting watching those people wrap cars and that sort of thing. So I think it'd be fun to do this with that car, to wrap it and make the paint's appearance look a lot better. That would be a fun project to do, and just try to restore the car and make it look new again. Again, since I already own it, it's underwater, that sort of thing. Might as well make the best of it, have fun with it. It could be used for a lot of projects. I can actually show some of those projects and processes on the channel and show other people who are curious about doing this sort of thing with their car. At some point, if I do end up keeping the vehicle long term and the battery does crap out on it, one of the things that I think I would do is replace the battery, but somehow, some way, I'd like to replace it with a long range battery, because I think that could be a benefit, particularly if batteries go down in price, which I'm hoping at some point we do get better with battery technology and that can be a thing. But that's basically my plans with the car and how I feel about the vehicle overall. Again, it's not a horrible vehicle if it meets the needs that you have for it. But if I could do it again, would I buy this car again? Probably. I probably would. And the reason being is because of the benefits of, again, low charging. But I would only do it if I had another vehicle. That's my opinion on that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please consider liking, subscribing, and continuing on the journey. And we'll catch you in the next one.